Let's step into the fascinating and sometimes fiercely debated world of grappling. If you've spent any time around martial arts, you have likely encountered the spirited, shall we say, discussions between the practitioners of Judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, despite the fact that these two arts share a significant chunk of their history and, at a glance, some similar techniques, the passions run deep and the loyalties are strong. You might hear a judoka talk about the superiority of a decisive throw or the beauty of an ippon, and then you'll hear BJJ folks touting the mantra of position before submission, emphasizing the intricate dance of ground control. Now, to the outsider, it might seem like splitting hairs. There's even a saying among some judo circles that BJJ really stands for basically just judo. You know, they both grapple, what's the big deal? But just like we've explored with the nuances of different karate styles, understanding the core philosophies and the distinct evolutions of Judo and BJJ can unlock a deeper appreciation for both arts and, more importantly, inform your own martial arts journey. So why should you care about this grappling showdown? Well, whether you're a seasoned mat veteran or just curious about dipping your toes into the worlds of throws and submissions, understanding the fundamental differences between Judo and BJJ can be a game changer. It can help you choose the right path for your goals, understand the strengths and weaknesses of different grappling styles, and might even bridge that sometimes contentious gap between the two communities. To truly grasp the distinctions, we need to take a quick look at where these arts came from. It's a story of evolution and adaptation, much like the journey of karate from Okinawa to mainland Japan. Judo, meaning the gentle way, was founded by Jigoro Kano in the late 19th century in Japan. Kano was a dedicated student of various Jiu-Jitsu styles, the traditional Japanese arts of unarmed combat. However, Kano envisioned something more than just a collection of fighting techniques. He aimed to create a modern martial art that emphasized not only physical prowess, but also mental discipline and moral development. He meticulously selected and refined techniques from Jiu-Jitsu, notably removing the more dangerous striking elements and placing a strong emphasis on throws and pins. Kano was very much like his good friend, Shotokan Karate founder Gichin Funakoshi, who adapted Okinawan karate in a very similar fashion. Now, fast forward to the early 20th century, and we find Kano's teachings making their way to Brazil through one of his students, Mitsuo Maeda. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk on this one here because this is accepted history, but there's also debate about the accuracy of this. Maeda, a skilled grappler, eventually connected with the Gracie family, and it was within this family, particularly under the guidance of Carlo Gracie and later his younger brother Helio, that a significant transformation began. Helio Gracie, often smaller and less physically imposing than his opponents, focused on adapting Maeda's techniques to emphasize leverage and body mechanics, allowing a smaller, weaker person to potentially overcome a stronger one. Now, this led to a profound focus on ground fighting and the development of intricate systems of guard work, sweeps, and submissions. So while this is generally accepted as the origin, there is a significant amount of contrary evidence to a perhaps different origin, of a mixture of influences that the Gracies picked up over the years and then marketed as their own system. I highly recommend the book, Opening and Closed Guard by Robert Drysdale. It's a pretty compelling argument about the true origin of BJJ. Now, there's a link down below in the description if you're interested, as well as our interview with Mr. Drysdale himself. So now you see the lineage, but also the divergence. Kano in Japan refining and codifying grappling with a holistic vision, and then you've got the Gracies in Brazil taking those fundamentals and specializing in ground combat out of necessity and a drive for practical self-defense. Let's break down some of the key areas where Judo and BJJ differ in their approach and execution. One of the most immediately noticeable differences lies in the primary focus. Judo places a significant emphasis on the stand-up exchange. The goal is simply to execute a powerful and decisive throw that puts your opponent on their back hard. A well-executed throw can end the match instantly. While groundwork is part of Judo and historically was far more extensive than we see today, it often serves as a follow-up to a takedown with the aim of securing a pin or a quick submission. I mean, after all, why spend all that time on the ground when you can end things by hitting your opponent with the earth?
Flawless victory.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, conversely, prioritizes the ground fight. The philosophy often revolves around the idea that most fights eventually end up on the ground anyway, and therefore, mastering ground control and submissions is paramount. BJJ practitioners become highly skilled in navigating various guard positions, sweeping opponents to gain top control, and utilizing a wide array of joint locks and chokes to secure the submission. This difference in focus, naturally leads to a divergence in the techniques that are heavily emphasized in training. Judo classes will typically involve a lot of drilling of different throws, hip throws, shoulder throws, foot sweeps, and more. The emphasis is often on timing and balance and utilizing your opponent's momentum against them. In BJJ, a significant portion of training is dedicated to learning how to control your body and opponent on the ground. Takedowns tend to be lower, quick, and act as a smooth transition into grappling. You'll spend time understanding different guard variations, such as the closed guard, open guard, butterfly guard, etc., practicing sweeps to reverse positions, and meticulously learning the mechanics of various submissions like arm bars, triangles, and rear naked chokes. The rules of competition further highlight the distinct priorities of each art. Judo competitions often reward decisive throws with high scores, and a clean ippon results in an immediate victory. While groundwork is permitted, there are often time limits, and certain leg attacks are typically prohibited in standard judo rule sets. BJJ competitions generally allow a broader range of submissions, including many leg locks that are often restricted in judo. Matches can be longer and more strategic, with competitors often engaging in intricate positional battles on the ground to set up submission attempts. You might also observe subtle differences in the atmosphere of a judo dojo versus a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy. Judo often retains more of the traditional Japanese martial arts etiquette, with formal bows and strong emphasis on respect for the instructor and training partners. There's typically a structured approach to learning, with dedicated time for technique drilling and randori. BJJ academies can sometimes have a more relaxed and informal feel, although respect is still a core value. Training often involves a significant amount of time of rolling or live sparring, where a student has the opportunity to test their techniques against resistant opponents in a more open and exploratory manner. Ultimately, the choice between Judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, much like the decision between styles of karate, boils down to your individual goals and preferences. If you're drawn to the dynamic and explosive nature of stand-up grappling, and you appreciate the discipline and tradition of a Japanese martial art, and you're interested in developing powerful throws, Judo is an excellent fit. If you're more intrigued by the intricate world of ground fighting and you want to learn how to control and submit opponents of any size using leverage and technique, and you prefer a more open and experimental training environment, well then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu may be the path for you. And just as cross-training can broaden your understanding in striking arts, incorporating elements of both Judo and BJJ into your training can make you a more well-rounded grappler. A judoka with a strong ground game and a BJJ practitioner with solid takedown skills are formidable opponents. So instead of getting caught up in the which one is better debate, take the time to explore both Judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Visit local clubs, try introductory classes, and see which art resonates with you on a deeper level. The mat awaits, and the journey of grappling mastery is a rewarding one, regardless of which path you choose. And if you come from a striking art background such as karate, then either one of these disciplines would serve as a wonderful supplement to your training. And speaking of karate, we have a similar separation of sister arts when it comes to karate from Japan or Okinawa. They may look the same on the surface, but they are distinctly different, and they both serve very different purposes.